back. One of the products of the handshake is the BBI, the Building Bridge Initiative. 14 Kenyans are the ones who are leading that, and by October we should be able to have a report on what it is that Kenyans are saying. The constitutional review has been one of the conversation. Dr. Kaluyu, I'll begin with you, your thoughts on this. So here we are, we have the Punguza Mizigo bill, which is coming with different proposals, such as making Senate the upper house, where we have the president doing 7 years, but in a single one term, 7 years. There are so many things around it, reducing members of parliament from the current 416 to about 147 members of parliament. First of all, what are your thoughts on such initiatives when you have two of the biggest political leaders, should I say, fueling such an initiative?
Well, thanks. First, I want to take a second to respond to the previous questions where we were about, I didn't get the opportunity to respond to.
No problem.
Yeah. One of the products of the handshake was an environment where to prosper, to get economic, gears moving. And I talk this with authority. I've been in Wall Street for 6 years, so I understand economic strategy. You need an environment where businesses can grow.
Yes.
Whether there were other intentions that were inside, I don't know about that. And also, you do not, purpose of the government is to create that environment. It is not to give people things. And if you can lead by example, you can start initiatives. Okay. But they created an opportunity for the businesses to prosper, because I was in the studio when the TVs were switched off. It was a looming sort of civil unrest that was coming. That is no longer there. So, Doctor, at the end of the day, this initiative by Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, will it solve the historical challenges of... Not all of it, because Kenyans themselves, there's a part of Kenyatta, President Kenyatta, and also the part of Raila. But also there's the part of the people, the scholars, the business people. They need to pick up and get moving. If there is shortage, or let's say the healthcare is not good, proposals needs to come up with with the scholars. Where are they? I challenge them to take all these matters, bring proposals, and the purpose of a leader most of the times is to make sure that they give the vision, the mission. Then the rest of the people come in. And how can we involve Kenyans living abroad? How do we involve Kenyans living abroad in such initiatives? First of all, you need to be able to involve them in the government. You need to give them seats. You need to have a CS. You need to have to give them something like an ambassador, or we have positions that will voice them. Personally, before I leave, I will be able to, submit some sort of a bill in the parliament.
Wait a minute, Dr. You're saying that the people in the diaspora need to be given positions, a cabinet minister's or a cabinet secretary's office, an ambassador. How does that change? Because I mean, you have to practice. Because you are on the no, you are not necessarily. If you're a cabinet secretary, you have to be in the country. Yes, exactly. If you run for an office, if I ran for an office to be president, I was going to stay in the State House. How do you suggest that you have people in the diaspora being given positions? I mean, that's common sense. You ask somebody to be something and they come to stay over here. How can that be the qualification? There is what qualifications? Because you're saying that those in the diaspora need to be considered for positions. Yes. And when they are given position, they come and live here. I was going to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. I was going to stay in the State House just around the corner. So I wasn't going to be a president outside the country. We're going to come over here. Many of the people want to serve the country right here. Being outside, if you did what you're supposed to do and you're successful, that does not mean that you cannot come and stay with the people. I'm always here. So diaspora is just a part of description. When you are given positions or you are part of the table, we want seats on the table. Talking about opposition so that we don't get lost. Yes, there are oppositions divided. It's really defined by those who participated, meaning that I saw some people accounting that there was number one, President Kenyatta, then Raila. He did not participate, can't be counted. So when it comes to participation, you also have to have influence in the parliament. The rest, I know Kenyatta has a lot of people in the parliament and a lot of members, senators, MCS. There isn't anybody else with members of parliament who can influence power except an independent candidate. I was the next of the independent candidates, so I am official opposition. Why are you in this to just run, or what have you been doing about it? I mean, are you in government or opposition, or where are you? We don't find you, we don't see you. So I have just defined myself as the official opposition. Because yes, exactly. I mean, it's been 2 years. The official opposition? Because I don't have to be made. It's because Kenyans haven't made you the official opposition. You don't have to be made official opposition by Kenyans. It is the situation, the way we have to follow constitution. We have a constitution and people usually run around trying to find how to make another constitution or virtual constitution. What happens is that you have to have power in parliament. You also have to be a part of the candidacy. Those who are not in candidacy, they cannot be considered as the opposition.
opposition. Like let's say NASA, our opposition the last time was 2013. They did not participate in October elections. The only other person with influence was an independent candidate with members of parliament, 2 governors, MCAs, and everywhere else. So they should be empowered to know that they are opposition today.
Okay, I'll leave it at that, Dr. Kaluyu, but I'm not convinced. But for you, Prof, you also said about the opposition, and you're saying that there's no alternative, even the media is not offering the alternative. Yourself, how are you providing it? How do we find you speaking to power?
I've been speaking to power. It depends on where you've been looking. So if you've not been listening, then you need to check where you've been looking.
It's a question. Just explain how you've been doing it.
I have been talking to power some. I have a following that knows that I have been speaking to power. I have had my friend Kaluyu say that the handshake was about making business grow, making the economy prosper.
An environment that is
an environment,
just correctly.
And the question Kenyans are asking is, has the economy prospered? Has the economy grown? Are Kenyans better off today economically because of the handshake? I'll give you a challenge. Show me 10 Kenyans, 10 Kenyans who are better off today than they were in 2013, if you can find them. Show me 10 Kenyans who are better off today than they were in 2013, and I will show you 9 thieves and 1 very, very lucky guy. That is how bad it is, that Kenyans are worse off now than they were in 2013. They are worse off now than they were last year, and they don't see any they don't see a government, they don't see a leadership that is innate for them. But they see a leadership that is the same old story, the same old issues that they've been dealing with, and we are headed to another election. Same people, same issues.
All right, Prof and Doc, I want us to make progress so that we are able to cover the topics that we have. And I want us to speak about the constitutional review proposals that we have had. We've had from the BBI, that is the Building Bridges Initiative, Raila Odinga, saying that there will be a resultant sort of a bill that would seek to amend some of the provisions of the constitution. You've seen the Punguza Mizigo bill by Third Way Alliance led by Ekuru Aukot. Let's just listen into what Raila Odinga and Ekuru Aukot have had to say in as far as these proposals are concerned.
The report is ready. It will be handed over to President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And that report, we shall make public. We're going to publish it so that people can read it and see the kind of recommendations are being made by the BBI team. Once people have made their comments, then we will gather all those comments, and then on the basis of that we'll formulate the referendum question. And that will be published in the form of a bill, which will then be taken to the people. So what we will be trying to do is very consultative. Now you cannot just wake up one morning and go to your office and begin to draft amendment to the Constitution, and then purport to have collected signatures around the country. Now you ask people, who were these people who signed the so-called Punguza Mizigo initiative? And there's supposed to be 1 million people.
People are telling us to wait for Building Bridges Initiative. What process is Building Bridges Initiative following to seek to amend the Constitution of Kenya? When you look at all the 9 points, terms of reference for the Building Bridges Initiative, none of them directs them to look for views to amend the Constitution.
All right, so I'll be taking your views in as far as those proposals are concerned and the comments that they have made there. But first, let's cross over to Kisumu County, where Laura Achieng Otieno is standing by with a group of students, I understand, to just give us a feel of what the state of the nation is. And Laura Otieno, we are with presidential candidates of 2017, that is Professor Michael Onaina as well as Dr. Kavenga Kaluyu. What are the people they are speaking to? What do they feel about these candidates? Are they just there to run, or have they been involved in the democratic processes ever since, and how do they feel about the state of the nation?
Well, indeed, Sam, as you have rightly put it, here in Kisumu County, there are mixed reactions from a section of residents, some of whom feel that the handshake in particular has at least given them a chance to be included in the development agenda of the nation. Remember that Kisumu County and the Nyanza region at large is an area that has been perceived to be an opposition stronghold, and most of the people have felt that over the years since attainment of independence, then they have been unable, or rather they have not been included in the nation's development agenda. So of course most of them are welcoming the handshake, but a section of them are feeling left out, because remember there are a lot of dynamics playing here in Kisumu, one of them being the recent demolition for the expansion of the 3 billion shillings Kisumu port, where some people feel that they are being sort of duped by that particular development project. So of course maybe if we could speak to one of two people, I'm saying some of them are here but they have left, but once we get a person, one person at least, they will be in a position to give their view about the that particular concern. But then I'm told that most of the people have decided not to speak on camera because they are citing the sensitivity of that issue. But we can confirm that here in Kisumu, it is a sort of reprieve for residents who indeed feel that they are included in the development agenda by virtue of that handshake. And on matters constitutional review, a few weeks ago we saw Ekuru Aukot tour the region in a bid to sort of popularize his bill, the Punguza Mzigo bill, but he didn't stay in Kisumu for even 2 hours because we understand that he received a hostile environment to the places where he toured. So of course we will be keeping an eye on what the people feel about matters constitutional review and the handshake in particular, and if they feel that they are included in the development agenda, their general concerns about the constitutional review, Sam.
Oh, all right, that is Laura Chengo from Kisumu. Of course, we'll be sure to get a feel of what the residents have to say. But of course, you've seen that being an opposition zone or an ODM zone, if I may put it so, they have been very supportive of the handshake. But first, what do you think about reducing the number of members of parliament from 416 to 147 as proposed by the Punguza Mizigo bill that also seeks to have the Senate meet the upper house presidential tenure reduced to one single term of 7 years, the Senate Speaker to be the third in line to scrap the deputy governor's position and raise county's revenue share to 35% to 35% from 15%. What is your feel about the Punguza Mizigo bill, Dr. Kaluyu?
So the Punguza Mizigo bill, and I know Dr. Kot is a friend of mine, and he has a lot of ideas as well. The only issue with first, I'm not convinced that we are yet at the point where we need to change the constitution at this particular point.
You don't think it's necessary?
All the tenets of the constitution has not been implemented.
So you don't think we need a referendum?
I don't believe we are there yet. I'm yet to be convinced. If there is, it hasn't been spoken yet. Just because people are pushing for it, I haven't seen that point where we need to tilt it. Women agenda has not been even implemented in our parliament. So the only issue with the Punguza Mizigo is that it has very good things, to be honest with you. Reduction, just because you are doing a reduction, but we have to be careful because it's about representation. We cannot reduce to the bone. We need to be fairly reducing the number of members of parliament. And if they need to go, it's because of the CDF, they will go back and beat the MCS and become something else. So the other bad part, it means next time we are going to do another referendum to fix the Punguza Mizigo. So I think what we need to be able to do, I haven't seen the BBI, to be able to go through the normal process of collecting information. You can hear in Kisumu people are saying that they haven't been involved, they don't know what it is about. And people, when they are not given civil education, they may not know what it is. So I support the good things, but also I think we can still come back to Bomas of Kenya, call the people and be able to express the needs assessment. That's why I started with my opening statement, the needs assessment, so that you can know exactly what people, in an open way.
Isn't that what is being done by BBI?
Well, the BBI, first of all, you don't even know the intention of BBI. They haven't said they want a referendum. That's just an assumption.
No, right? Well, I just spoke about it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, if it's going to end up in, they haven't told us. We haven't seen the report as well.
Okay.
So if it ends up in a referendum, we need to see the tenants. If they are not correct, then we may not need to accept them, but also go back to the drawing table. Okay. I believe Punguza Mizigo and BBI need to be combined so that we can come up with the correct tenets that everybody accepts.
And that takes me to my next question. Yeah. Professor Wainaina, the Third Way Alliance party leader, Ekuro Court, who you seem to clearly admire, do you think he should have waited for the BBI, then together they should have put their documents together?
What do you mean I seem to admire him?
You said that he's doing something on the ground with the Punguza Mizigo.
I said that,
and a good friend of yours.
I said that since 2017, the only real alternative that has been put on the table is the Punguza Mizigo.
So should he have waited for the BBI?
He shouldn't wait for anybody. I have told you that democracy is about the people. And if he is giving a platform for people to express what they feel, he shouldn't wait for anybody. That is number one. Number two, I don't know what BBI you're talking about. First of all, do you implement a constitution and then amend it? Or do you amend a constitution that has hardly been implemented? One of the challenges, or one of the things that Raila and NASA told us about Jubilee, is that Jubilee has refused to enact the 2010 constitution. That was one of the main issues they raised about Jubilee in the 2017 elections.
What in your view is yet to be implemented?
They are the ones who told us that Jubilee has not implemented the constitution. So when they come to the handshake, what should they be doing? Should they be pushing for the constitution to be implemented, or should they be pushing for the constitution to be amended? You first of all implement, then you amend. That is point number one. Point number two, let us assume that we should amend it. How should the constitution be amended? And that is a point that Ekuro Court was raising on your clip there. You must follow constitutional procedures in amending the constitution. So
do you agree with his bill? What details in his bill do you agree with and do you not agree with?
There are so many proposals in his bill, and I don't think that there are things that we can sit here and go and tick on a list 1, 2, 3. Number one, I think for me, the spirit of the bill, the spirit of the amendment is correct. Punguza Mzigo.
So we reduce representation?
Not only representation, every other burden that has been placed on the people for the benefit of the political class does need to be reduced. I do think that the things that are being proposed by the Punguza Mzigo bill are going to Punguza Mzigo. That is the idea of the bill. I also agree with the procedure, because you cannot amend the constitution using unconstitutional means. So I agree with the spirit, I agree with the content, I agree with the procedure.
What don't you not agree with?
When you come, I don't agree with these other guys. These are the guys, what procedure are they using? How do you claim that you want to amend a constitution, then come with some amorphous procedure from wherever and claim that you're going to amend the constitution? And this brings us to what the problem is. The problem is not the constitution. The problem is the guys who are charged with the responsibility of implementing the constitution. They don't have respect for it. I can assure you, even if they amend this one, in the next 5 years, they will want to amend the one they will have amended. Because the problem is not the constitution. The problem is the political class that is not ready for constitutionalism. That's the problem.
You say that the problem is the political class that is not ready for constitutionalism. The Deputy President, William Ruto, has been speaking about it, and in August 2019, he said something that I want us to just listen, then you can gauge on.
Ndio wanatusumbua na siasa mingi ya kusema tubadilishe katiba pande hii, sijui tubadilishe katiba pande hiyo, sijui tufanye ile, tufanye ile. Hiyo mambo yote ya kubadilishana mambo ya katiba, wananchi have the final say. Wananchi ndio wataamua mwisho, na wananchi wanajua ni nini kinawafaa na ni nini hakiwafai.
So the Deputy President says that wananchi ndio wataamua, it's the Kenyans to decide. And I want to engage you on, because Dr. Kaluyu, you say that at this point in time we do not need a constitutional amendment, but you also say that you support Punguza Mizigo. You also say that you need a Bomas sort of a forum. Professor, you said that you agree with Punguza Mizigo, you do not agree with BBI. But at the end of the day, it's the Kenyans to decide, yes. So but you, as people who have run for presidency, how do you guide them into this process?
I I mean to make a quick correction. I haven't said I agree with Punguza Mizigo. There are good things, and there are some things that I think a lot of things, because a lot of people, not just Ekuru, my friend, other people who are a part of the 2020 Constitution, who made it up, and they were very actively involved. They told us it is good, and people opposed it, and many other people, prominent people, opposed it. And now they are telling us it is bad, it was too heavy. And if they were a committee of experts, they should have actually hired experts to come and also help them know it was bloating counties. So I agree where we need to say, he says the spirit. That's okay. The spirit is good, Punguza Mizigo. But I do not agree with the details. Okay. And the way it was written, some people say it was written as a scholarly paper. So what we are trying to say is that to collect information from people and then make it a more formidable amendment. And
I can make the same disclaimer. I did not say what I agree with or what I embrace it or I agree with it. I said that the spirit of the proposals that are being made is correct. The procedure is correct. And the people who are pushing it are people who are putting an alternative on the table. For BBI, I said the spirit is opaque, the procedure is wrong, and the people who are pushing it are not people who are giving us alternative. They are the status quo who want to entrench themselves further.
So, Professor, let's say we do go for a referendum. Do you think that it will put us back on track as a nation?
There is nothing that will put us back on track as a nation for so long as the leadership that is expected to lead that process is the KANU leadership. That is a problem that we have. These are the same people who have given us problems for decades. These are the same people for the last 60 years. We've been dealing with the same political class. What makes you think that a referendum is going to change course while the actors are the same people who are invested in the status quo and they don't have any motivation to change?
Alright, just to indicate here that it is your opinion that we have KANU leadership. The last time I checked, President Kenyatta was the leader of Jubilee Party.
And the chairman of KANU. He was the chairman of KANU and he was Moi's candidate in 2002.
Alright, Professor. Now we take a short break. When you return, we'll be speaking to John Wanyama in Eldoret to just give us a feel of what the Kenyans in Eldoret have to say in as far as the constitutional review proposals, as well as progress on to talk about the fight against corruption in this country and what the two presidential candidates of 2017 think about the progress made so far. Back in a moment.